Hi, everyone. I don't know how tall I am as far as this podium, so hopefully you can see me. There we go. Okay, so today we'll talk about some data-driven growth strategies that we've been using at calendars.com to help grow our business. Last night I timed myself. I was a little over time, so I'm just going to kind of go on in instead of review the agenda. It's only 20 minutes. So first I'll talk a little bit about why we went with Castora. And basically it came down to we needed better visibility. We were in a position that if we wanted to, say, send a direct mail campaign or send a very specific type of campaign to a certain group of customers, we had to go to someone else and give them the parameters of the list that we were looking for. Then they would go and pull that. We could get some things out of our ESP, but generally we were trying to get to a level of understanding of our customers that we could not get through there. So we had to get direct access to our database, and we did not have that without having SQL skills. And I don't know how many of you have SQL skills, but I don't. No one on our team did. So we also essentially we wanted to be able to do more robust targeting. We wanted to be able to talk more precisely to our customers and really understand their life cycle and their product affinity in a better way. And then lastly, we just had a lot of questions about our customers in general, and we really didn't have any good platform to be able to go to try to look for the answers to understand our customers better. So essentially, we have, using the platform, we've been able to do better at some of our acquisition campaigns, our loyalty, and we've been able to hone in on some strategy decisions and make some smarter decisions there. And we've even been able to use this to optimize our promotions. And all of that we've been pushing into multiple channels across primarily digital, but some with direct mail recently. So we started off with churn prevention. I know we've already talked some about churn prevention this morning, so I won't spend a lot of time on this, but I will just talk about this. So, this represents all of your customers. They're all on here, but they're not a blank slate. They're not all exactly the same, and they're all in a different life cycle stage. And you've got to figure out how do you take them from being that myriad grid into an organized grid where you can understand who's your most engaged, who's just your general active, and who are you at risk of losing. And this was something that we didn't have visibility to before. Being a very seasonal business, as you can imagine, for calendars.com, you could make the assumption that our customers are going to come to us one time of year for that one calendar. That's a very bad assumption. Our customers are actually way more diverse than that. We do have that one time of year customer. We also have customers that come to us a lot more frequently. So without a way to really know at that individual customer level, that individual user level, then we may be trying to reactivate them when they're perfectly fine and active, or we might miss our window because we're making an assumption that they're only going to come to us once or twice a year, when maybe they're coming to us quarterly or even more often. So using that, I didn't know I was going to do that. Okay, that was some new animation. Okay, so we launched with churn prevention. We love to use cute dogs and cute cats. We have lots of calendars on our site, so we have a plethora of imagery to pull from, and people really love it when we use our animals. But what is really exciting about our churn prevention is that from these emails as part of this campaign, almost 40% of the revenue we know is incremental. So that is revenue that we would not have been able to expect to get just through our regular business as usual messaging. And we know it's incremental because of our holdout groups, and I'll talk about holdout groups a little bit later, but they're very important. We also have re-engaged over 82,000 email subscribers. Depending on how big your lists are, that may or may not sound like an exciting number. For us, that's about 10% of our list, so it's not inconsequential. Next, we have moved on past churn prevention and have gone into various types of affinity segmentation. So calendars.com, we're actually part of a larger company called Go Retail Group. And Go Retail Group is the largest pop-up retailer in the world. We operate those stores and kiosks that you see in the malls that pop up somewhere around now through October, maybe early November. They start to disappear in January. We sell a lot more than calendars. We sell games and toys and puzzles and things that are great gift items around the holidays. And so because we have all of that product for our stores, we also carry it on our website. But one of our problems was being able to surface up these products to our core customers who, for the most part, came to us for calendars. They may not be in the market for party games or board games or toys and various other things. But we had these products, and we wanted to use them to help annualize our business, to increase our sales outside of fourth quarter. But we didn't have a smart way to be able to do this without just sending full list campaigns that then we would see an increase in spam complaints and in unsubscribes because it wasn't relevant to a lot of the customers. So we needed a better way to promote these non-calendar products to our customers. And actually, I'll pause for a second and say this was really what helped me to get budget for this type of program. My vice president and I, this was an overarching goal for our company. So we were able to then go and say, we need this kind of tool to be able to help us achieve this goal that you've set out for us. So, just planting little seeds for those of you wondering how you can get budget. Okay, so we've done a lot with our product affinities, and then I'll go into some more category affinities here in a moment. But we'll send out puzzle campaigns. We have lots of gifts for dog lovers, especially if there's a specific breed that you like. We might have a German Shorthair Pointer bobblehead and, et cetera, various things. So with these kinds of campaigns, we do see a lift of engagement versus our business as usual campaigns. For example, last year, open rates were 5% higher for our affinity campaigns than for a regular promotion. But what we find really exciting is the AOV number. So we have a fairly low AOV. We're definitely a little bit different price than my friend from Tiffany here. The average calendar costs $12 to $15 at full price. So when we can get increases in AOV, then that's really exciting. So when we're showing customers what they're actually most interested in, then we do see that AOV go up. So we have also used this in our Facebook advertising. As you can see, we've had some great increases in ROAS. So essentially what we did is we took, we had already been doing Facebook advertising where we would just, get that email subscriber list, get that CSV file, put it into Facebook, and then just go target our existing customers that way. We'd even done it where we take all of our unsubscribed customers and go target them to try and make sure that we're getting in front of them, just leveraging that email list. So now we are going a step further, and instead we looked at what are our top performing categories of calendars on our site, and then we went and found those matching affinities in Kastora, and then started showing them ads that are uniquely targeted to them, to that particular affinity group. So the person who loves humor and wants to see Dilbert and Urban Myth and other things probably isn't going to like the folk art one, but I tell you, the folk art people love that one. They love their Charles Wysocki. No offense, but I don't get it. But it's okay. But if we were to just generalize our art customers, and we serve them up folk art, but they're actually more interested in modern art, then again, that's not going to be as effective. So we've seen great increases in ROAS when we do this, even higher than when we target based on the customer lifetime value, which I find really interesting. It's all about that creative and showing them. We have 7,000 calendars on our site. So how do you choose which one that you should feature in your ads and make sure it's something that has broad enough appeal so when you can really hone down that creative, it can make a difference. And then what we did is we took those, we found, I think, about our top 5 highest performing affinity groups from just our own customer campaigns, and then we took those top ones and said, okay, these were the people that responded the best to our ads. Let's go find more people like them. So we did our lookalike targeting for acquisition, and in some cases, we had some acquisition campaigns that performed almost exactly as well as campaigns going out to our existing customers, which is really remarkable. Usually those acquisition campaigns, the ROAS just pales in comparison to when you're talking to your warm leads essentially. Our highest performing, just side note, was humor. For some reason, our acquisition for the humor affinity went especially well. And not that that is necessarily all that interesting, but I love that we've gotten to the point that we know that we know exactly which affinity group was the best for our acquisition versus, the cat and dog lover or the folk art lover or what have you. So we have done, I mentioned customer lifetime value segmenting. We have done that in a few different ways, including on Facebook. And again, where we had started pre-Custora of just using our email subscriber list, when we take those results and we compare it to when we have just cherry-picked out those highest tier customers from our Custora segments, and we put those into Facebook, we saw a 78% lift in ROAS from doing that. And then one of my favorite things, because I'm directly over promotions and in email and a few other areas in our department, I love what we've done with some promotion optimization. So we started because our problem was that we were trying to put minimum purchase thresholds on our promotions, and they had been performing just fine. And then we had a season come up where people were just not responding as well when we had a threshold tied to the promotion. We had some people that would, but overall our conversion rate was suffering. But we needed to have those minimum spends on there so that we could protect our profitability, but we also at the same time needed to find a way to optimize for our conversion rate. We wanted to do them both. So how we started, and we did this just a couple weeks out from Green Monday, it was a very quick down and dirty test. We just ran 4 separate promotions and split our file randomly in 4 ways and ran them all, and then went back into Custora afterwards to see how did different segments of customers respond to these 4 different offers. And then, so what we landed on was coming up with essentially one offer. We found that when we were pairing free shipping with a discount, that was the promotion that overall everyone was responding to the best. And then we could, from there, drill down into who can we put a threshold in order to get that deal, and who do we need to drop that threshold because it's our peak time and it's acquisition time and we just need to optimize for conversion rate at the same time as trying to protect our profitability. So this is what we ran after all the testing, and the results is that for those lower tier customers, the ones that are the hardest to convert, the hardest to get to pay attention to you, we were able to increase our revenue per customer for that group by 13%. And our high performing tier maintained that higher AOV. It's not a big ask for them. And we were able to drop that barrier to entry for the people where we needed to. And in a lot of cases, those people still wound up spending up to that threshold that we wanted. But there's just something about, for some people, just even knowing that they have to get to that, especially if they're a newer customer, they may not know how easy it is to get up to $40, and it was just a barrier standing in their way. So we're able to remove that for the right people. Now we actually just ran this last week, so we're still running numbers on it. But what we wanted to do, we didn't really like that we were treating, our high tier customers essentially the same, but just putting a threshold on them. We felt like that really wasn't how we wanted to go about doing this. So we've evolved it a bit. And this time we put a higher spend threshold, but they get a higher discount. And it's over a wider variety of products. They have more selection that they can choose from, as opposed to our lower customer value group, where we had a much more minimal spend, but they also have a more moderate discount, and we limited their selection a bit. But it worked for both groups. So our conversion rate was up 14% for our high group and 13% for our lower group. So we still have other data coming in on exactly where we landed for AOV and profitability and all that, but early results are showing that it was good. We have also been able to use Custora to, again, push out into, as you've seen, we're doing both Facebook and email and other ways. And so with cross-channel messaging, what we did is this was especially run to help prove the value of the budget that we're spending on Facebook. Facebook does not always get, those ads do not always get the attribution. You know, email will typically get the attribution, but we wanted to be able to show how much it's assisting the email channel for those conversions. So we took an affinity campaign that we were running, and we ran it in email for everyone, and then for half of the group, we also targeted them on Facebook on the exact same day with the exact same creative and the exact same offer. And just from our email results, not even looking into Custora, our conversion rate for the group of email customers who were also targeted on Facebook, conversion rate was up 25% and revenue per email was up 56%. So it really helped to prove the value of that Facebook budget. So just real quickly, so some advice for if you're just getting started or thinking about getting started. Go with that low-hanging fruit, something like a churn prevention. It's very easy and kind of ready to go, and you can get it going very quickly. And I would recommend, like I said, I would talk more about holdout groups. These are really important because I know for my company, we do have a very limited budget, and for every single item on our budget every year, we have to prove the ROI in order to be able to keep that budget protected into the next fiscal year. So by holding out some of your people, and it gets really hard to convince the higher ups that you should do this because it seems like, I think someone yesterday mentioned at the customer conference about that seems like a missed revenue anytime that you're not sending to someone, but it's how you can prove out your ROI. So when you have your holdout groups, then you'll very quickly be able to start proving the value of the platform. And then over time, as everyone is on board and they understand the value of it, then you can start to decrease the size of those holdout groups. And then again, just once you've got your feet wet, just start going out into more direct mail, like Tiffany, and we're now doing some of those same things where we're taking our direct mail list and then using Custora to be able to target them with the Facebook ad that matches the postcard that they got in the mail, and then we're sending them an email right before their postcard expires and saying, don't forget this offer before it's gone. And then, just run lots of tests and just watch to see what your customers do, and then think about what can you learn from that, and then how can that help you optimize your efforts and your budget more effectively. Ask a lot of questions, not just of yourself and of your team, but then go into whatever analytics tool that you have, see if you can find it. We have often taken our questions back to our Custora team. And even if it's something that platform isn't built out to do or to surface, we've just said, we feel like that this is in the data, we just don't know how to get to it. And they've helped us say, okay, well, if you pull this and then you pull that and then you marry this up, you should be able to get a good picture. So just keep asking a lot of questions. And then consider the business impact. What can you do with those questions and those answers that you find? How can you use it to optimize both your spend as well as your creative and your efforts? And